Mm-hmm. And it's interesting that you sort of felt like people wouldn't buy the game. I imagine you've learned some things since then as far as how consumer behavior works and such. Were there any like sort of standard beliefs that you had that changed since that time when you thought people wouldn't buy it?
No, I mean, I still, I mean, if I could go back and give myself advice, at that time, it's interesting because like people come, and here's another way to think of it. People email me every day and they say, I am working on a game and I play it with my friends and it is the most fun game in the world. It is way more fun than Cards Against Humanity. This game will be huge. What should I do? How do I make $1 million on this game and make a fortune and become famous for making this game? And the advice that I would give them is don't plan on that. Like nobody makes money making games. Nobody gets a good kind of famous making games. It is such a crapshoot. We got, there's no predicting it. Everyone who's successful has some story they want to spin of like why they're successful. They're like, well, every morning I wake up and I have a bowl of oatmeal and that is the secret of my success. And if you two just wake up and have a bowl of oatmeal, your game will be successful as well. And nobody really, I mean, the truth is, I don't think anybody really knows why they're successful. Everybody has their tips and tricks and clever things they're going to say that are like, well, these were our 10 strategies that we did or whatever, but they don't even know because what's their control group? They don't know if that's what was successful or not. I would say, here's what we did that was, I'm not going to say it'll make a project successful. I'll say, here's what I think we did that increased here's a way to think about it. My grandpa always used to tell me that he's like, in life, there's smart and there's lucky. And he's like, most people get lucky a certain amount of times in their life. Like everybody gets lucky sometimes. But being smart is like putting yourself in the position that when you get lucky, you can seize on it and take advantage of it. That you're like positioned correctly, that when you get lucky, you're like, A, you have to recognize it. You have to be like, wow, this is a lucky break happening right now. And B, you have to be like, I better do something about it and know what to do. So here's what we did that I think was smart, that let us take advantage of what was lucky, which is essentially the like cult popularity of Cards Against Humanity. The first thing is, I think we cared a lot about, well, the first thing was the game had a lot of integrity. Like we made the game the best we could. We did not make it in the way that we thought would be the most popular. All we cared about and all we care about now is what makes people laugh, what's funny, what makes us laugh. Nothing else matters. If we're like, well, this really makes us laugh, but also some people might get mad, we really do not care. We're like, you know what? There's something honest about the fact that it's making us laugh. We're going to do it. That's sacrosanct. That's the most important thing, is the integrity of it. And people who have these schemes of like, I am going to do something that I know is artistically not valid or dishonest, but it's going to trick people and the masses will love it. They're always wrong. That never works. People want something authentic and real, not something where they're being manipulated. That's number one. Number two was, I think we did a really good job with design, and design is something that most people kind of have an idea. They figure out the business and what they're going to do with it, and then they like slap a little design on in the end, so it like has a cool logo. And that's not my understanding of what design is. To me, design is how it's how it works. It's what, I mean, that's like the famous Steve Jobs quote, design is how it works at Apple. And it's like, this is a whole separate conversation, but it's like we thought from the beginning, how will people know how to play this game? What will the cards look like? What design of the cards is the most funny? What design of the cards makes it the easiest to hold in your hand and tells you how to use it and intuitively shows you what to do and how to engage with it? What design of the box makes it stand out on the shelf? What makes it? What design tells you our values and what we're about? And I think the fact that we like put a lot of sweat into figuring that stuff out before anyone ever saw the game, it really showed, because we had this like cohesive, simple, understandable, professional, clear message where people could look at Cards Against Humanity and be like, that's for me or that's not for me. And they just understood it at first glance.
Do you think I was going to say, do you think that it helped having that cohesive vision, having that sharp vision? Did it help to be working with people that you had such a close relationship with? Absolutely.
But lots of people work with designers that do an amazing job for them and they don't have a 30-year friendship with them, right? Like that's kind of the job of a designer. Like, listen, if one of your listeners is working on a project, let's say, and they're kind of wondering, how do I make design a core thing of this? Like, have a design co-founder. It doesn't have to be your best friend. It has to be someone who's good at design and will advocate for that and fight with you. And if you're doing something and you're like, well, it's important to the business that we do this, and the designer's like, yes, but no one will use it because the design sucks, you need someone who's going to say, hang on, stop, let's think this through. Because that's where a lot of this stuff goes terribly awry.